This is the CitizenLink Report.
If you find our insights helpful, would you support our video efforts? Your gift of $25 or more goes a long ways. Covers the crew, lights, cameras, all that. Just click on Donate. Thanks from all of us. A judge tells a Christian baker, "You will make the cake," and religious freedom loses. What do we do next? This is the CitizenLink Report. Hi, I'm Stuart Shepard along with Bruce Houseconect, who follows the courts for Focus on the Family. Hi, Bruce.
Hi, Stuart.
Tell us about this decision about the baker. Who made the decision and what does it mean? What's the impact?
Well, this involves a bakery up in Lakewood, Colorado, near Denver, who turned down the opportunity to bake a wedding cake for a same-sex couple. Now, in Colorado, we have a marriage amendment that defines marriage as one man and one woman, so same-sex marriage is not permitted here. But they went to Massachusetts, got married, and they wanted a cake. This Christian baker said no, and the homosexual couple filed a complaint with the Colorado Civil Rights Commission. They were investigated. An administrative law judge was assigned to hear this case, and he found that the baker was guilty of violating a non-discrimination statute passed by the legislature in 2008 that prevents discrimination in places of business.
And we'll talk more about that in a bit. But first, just for folks who may not have been following this particular case, what's at issue here is making a unique, a one-of-a-kind cake for a very specific event, which means that the cake baker is not just mixing up a double-layer chocolate cake. He's making a creation. It's something special for a particular event. And based on his Christian beliefs, he said, I can't support that.
That's right. There are actually two First Amendment rights at play here. One is the freedom of religion, but also the freedom of speech, the right not to be compelled to present speech, whether it's symbolic speech or actual speech, in favor of something that you don't agree with. Baking a cake for a same-sex wedding that you don't agree with is compelled speech to this Christian baker. And so he's defending himself based on freedom of religion as well as freedom of speech.
Now, the folks on the other side of this issue say, now, you're misrepresenting this because this is just like, they would say, what happened back in the 50s and 60s when it was the civil rights era and certain folks were not allowed to come into a restaurant at all. What's the difference?
Yes, back then in the 60s, the issue with public accommodations laws, which is what we're talking about here, had to do with large arenas of public entertainment, theaters, movie houses, public transportation, restaurants, any places, and hotels, places where people gather or want to engage in either food, entertainment, or sleep. That was what those first public accommodations laws dealt with. However, over the decades since then, they've kind of morphed into anyone who wanted to be on the list and was politically powerful enough to get their names on the list have been added, number one. Number two, the types of businesses have been expanded in about half the states beyond those public arenas and theaters and restaurants and trains and boats and planes to people who sell wedding cakes, photographers, you name it, any business out there. That's the type of law that Colorado and many other states have now.
And to make the distinction, the baker did not say, you can't come in my store. He didn't say, I won't sell you any cake. He said, I won't create that particular cake for that specific event. Birthday cake, no problem.
That's right. He specifically made that offer, too, as when he declined the opportunity to make the wedding cake. He said, I'll be happy to bake you a regular cake, cookies, anything, you name it, as long as it doesn't have to do with a same-sex wedding.
Now, let's talk about you talked about the anti-discrimination ordinance, as it's called. Let's be clear first. What is the official position? What is your point of view about those laws and ordinances? We don't really support them, do we?
Well, no, not since the original ones in the 60s that protected race and religion and sex from the things that were going on at that time. Because they've changed so much, they're really used as a club to further an agenda that is typically anti-Christian in many cases. That's what we're seeing today in either terms of homosexual marriage and other pet topics of the left. we're seeing it used as a club over the head of Christians.
And one aspect of this thing that's fascinating, let's stipulate that, okay, that's the law, that's what it is, we'll accept that. In that ordinance, in that law rather, it specifies religion as one of the protected classes, and then recently it added sexual orientation, gender identity. And in this case, you have one protected class, and the baker is in the Christian, the religious protected class. Guess who wins that one?
We're seeing that more and more, and all across the nation, homosexual rights activists and the politicians who support them have most often said, look, if there's a clash between religion and homosexual rights, the homosexual rights is going to win. Sorry, but that's the way it is. And that has been a major shift in American culture and American law over the last 40 years.
What happens next in this case, and what do we do next? What's the future for this whole thing?
Well, this decision by this administrative law judge will be sent to the full Civil Rights Commission, and they will either adopt it or reject it or modify it. And at that point, the loser, whoever it might be, and we assume at this point it would be the bakery owner, has the right to appeal to a regular court in the state of Colorado, and he can pursue that up to the Supreme Court of Colorado if he so desires.
All right. Bruce, as for people who run businesses and who are trying to make their way through this difficult terrain, what's your advice for them as we close out?
I think you have to almost get a mindset where you're willing to be forced to the ultimate choice of choosing between your faith and your business. The current state of politics in this country has forced Christians to that edge, and we may have to pay the ultimate price.
All right. Bruce, thanks for your insight.
Thanks, Stuart.
And thank you for watching. You may always write to us at mail@citizenlink.com. We'd like to hear what you think about this. Please write to us. Again, mail@citizenlink.com. And do pray for Christian business owners around the country who, one by one, are being hit by these challenges. And the way the courts are going, it's going to be a tough road over the next few years, the next decade or so, for businesses as more and more of them get challenged under these ordinances and laws that have been passed around the country. Remember to pray for them, pray for wisdom and strength. And remember, stand tall and be heard.